Have you ever gotten a phone call, a text message, or another message? You look down at who's sending you the message and you go, that person again, what do they want? And how much of my time is it going to take up to have to communicate with this person? Well, if you've ever asked yourself that question, then you've been asking the question about social exchange theory. Charlotte Nickerson defines social exchange theory as social exchange stipulates that people apply economic principles when evaluating relationships, either consciously or unconsciously, conducting cost-benefit analysis while also comparing alternatives. So, in your interactions with people, sometimes you say, what am I getting out of it versus what am I putting into it? And is it equitable, or am I putting in more effort and the other person is receiving all the benefits? The person who, according to Tulane University of Social Work, what is social exchange theory? A man named, American sociologist named George C. Humans published an article titled Social Behaviors Exchange. Humans devised a framework built on a combination of behaviorism and basic economics. In the immediate years that followed, other studies expanded the parameters of Humans' fundamental concepts. So, as you can see, this theory has been around for some time. It's important to keep in mind that this was really when synchronous communication was occurring, and this was before the asynchronous era of text messaging, direct messaging, and other forms we use today, even email. So, in Charlotte Nickerson, in her social exchange theory of relationships, says, according to social exchange theory, people will pursue relationships where rewards are greater than the cost, net profit, and abandon those where costs are greater than profit, net loss. These profits can be measured in the short term or cumulatively. The value of costs and rewards is highly subjective. So you can see that it really has an economic background to it. It's a social theory, but there's an economic background. Also, Charlotte Nickerson also says in Social Exchange Theory of Relationships, Examples, and More, Thibault and Kelly assume that people try to maximize the rewards they obtain from a relationship and minimize the cost, the min-max principle. And that's where the economics idea comes in with social exchange theory. You take something, and it goes on very similar in our everyday lives when we're purchasing products. What can I get the most for my money that I have spent the minimum amount on? So, now there are some criticisms of this theory. According to Erica L. Anthony, Shauna R. Daniels, and Allison V. Hall in a web article, the criticism about social exchange theory is that, one, overlapping constructs that need to be more clearly distinguished. Two, insufficient appreciation to the positive or negative hedonic value of these various constructs. Three, an assumption of bipolarity which negates constructs, in other words abuse, as the absence of positive constructs, in other words support. And following from these prior three issues, four, theoretically imprecise behavioral predictions. So, I know y'all have heard a lot about social exchange theories in these speeches, but what I wanted to ask you is it a theory that you're willing, even with its flaws, to apply to your lives? And what implications would that have? Now, for me personally, I explained to our instructor, I have this friend who used to constantly call me up and go on for a half an hour to an hour, and it would just devolve into a diatribe, and I would be stuck listening on the phone. I did find out that unfortunately people with a high level of empathy are willing to put up with higher costs in social exchange theory than people who don't have as high an level of empathy. So that's something to consider. Thank you very much.